In June of 1919, the U.S. Congress referred the women's suffrage amendment to the states for ratification. Fearless females, since women's suffrage began in 1848, survived the ridicule, the threats, physical injury, frame-ups, and intimidation of friendly politicians to see the governor of Wisconsin become the first to sign the amendment, and 14 months later, Tennessee became the 36th state to ratify to make the 19th Amendment the law of the land. 25 million women were allowed to vote in the election of 1920. Since then, there is scarcely a job that has not been filled by women. There are women doctors, lawyers, dog catchers, jockeys, and now postal inspectors. The first lady postal inspector in Texas is Barbara Romatzke, a petite 22-year-old psychology and criminology graduate from Kearney, Nebraska. To look at her, it's hard to believe she's an expert in the art of self-defense, specifically karate, and that a .38 caliber government regulation pistol fits comfortably in her hand and hides away neatly in a holster beneath her left arm. When she's not inspecting post offices or on a stakeout for the Postal Service, Barbara enjoys riding her quarter horse she has stabled in Fort Worth. Since January of this year, Miss Romatzke is one of only 11 women postal inspectors in the United States, and she is the only female inspector in the state of Texas.
Do you feel special?
No, not really. Just, there are a few problems.
Like what?
Well, mainly that when you walk into an office, that postmaster doesn't really believe that you're an inspector. I mean, it's quite a shock to him.
As a female among so many men, does this present a special problem too with your coworkers?
Oh, not really. It's just like in everyday life, I guess. They have respect for me, but they don't go out of their way to, make things easy for me.
Are you a women's libber? Let me put it this way. Do you want to be considered a female, an equal, or just a co-worker, or is this is this a special job to you as a woman?
How about a woman and equal? Huh? Okay.
Right, well,
I'm
that's
not,
fair enough.
Okay. I'm not the kind that goes out and demonstrates, that's what you mean. But, I feel there's a few things we deserve to be equal with, anyway.
In many ways, Miss Romatzke is more than an equal to the average male or female when you consider her special training. I wondered if she always kept her revolver close by.
Yeah, it's always close.
What type of weapon do you use?
It's a .38 caliber police special.
Do you have any difficulty in using it? Psychologically or otherwise?
Not psychologically, but you need a lot of practice. I'm not used to shooting a gun that much.
You enjoy
Other than that, enjoy it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not so bad. The qualifications kind of scare me. But, yeah. No, it's not bad.
Do you feel like then you're really just an average girl?
Yeah, just an average girl. With a special interest, I guess.
Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
Special investigators and insurance adjusters have been sifting through the wreckage of what used to be Pennwalt Food Industries, 2639 Brenner, since last evening. They will continue to do so, according to company spokesman Thomas Spooner, until the cause of yesterday's Holocaust is known. Damages to the Pennwalt firm have been estimated at $500,000, and to the heavily damaged next-door firm of Production Typographics, $100,000. 4 other neighboring firms suffered lesser damages. Mr. Spooner, president of Pennwalt Food and Agricultural Division in Philadelphia, talked with me today about the blast. On what may have been stored here that would have caused such an explosion?
No, honestly, I can't. As you can see, the damage was quite extensive. Pennwalt technical personnel will be cooperating with the local regulatory agencies. We're extremely anxious to be cooperative and to be sure that whatever needs to be done will be done in determining as quickly as possible and practical the cause of this incident.
Dallas Fire Marshal Guy Harbert is one of those tasked with finding out what touched off the series of explosions. We talked about potassium bromate, which some sources are blaming for the second and most damaging blast.
Potassium bromate's been used. We eat it every day in many forms. It's a derivative or concocted with other things that are of a trade secret that we probably won't ever know. But all of it is safe and to eat, and it's stable.
But it is flammable, is it?
Not necessarily, unless it's contaminated.
Tom Hall. An employee in the building at the time was Tom Hall. I talked with him this morning as he and his wife discussed his lost co-workers.
Well, I knew him real well. In fact, all of us eat dinner in there at 12 o'clock together. And I talked to Burrell. We was always kidding one another about other going to be the other pallbearer. And it turned out that way.
Three Dallas policemen gunned down in less than 2 weeks. One is dead and two are in serious condition at Parkland Hospital. These rash of police shootings raises a scary question. Will there be more? That worry is especially acute today after yesterday's bizarre incident where a routine investigation turned into a shooting, making 29-year-old Horace Akins a victim of freak gunplay. Here at Dallas Police Headquarters, I asked the patrolmen their personal reactions to the danger of their jobs.
Well, no officer likes to see another officer get hurt, whether he's a Dallas police officer or any other officer. It touches real close to home, and of course it puts you more on the defense anytime an officer gets hurt in the line of duty.
Does it make you afraid to go on a patrol?
No, it's an occupational hazard. I mean, percentages sometimes catch up with you. And it puts you more alert, but as far as fear, no, I don't believe so.
Do you ever feel any sense of revenge for your buddies getting shot?
Well, not necessarily revenge, but, you want the person to be captured as soon as possible to prevent any more.
This is just something that started to move down from the north. It's been happening up in the New England states, New York, Chicago. It's just now moving down here in the Dallas area, and we all expected it to happen sooner or later. We're just going to have to start being a little more safety conscious and start being a little more careful on how we approach vehicles and how we approach different situations. This is a very dangerous career field, and we need to be a little more careful on how we handle ourselves out in public.
A policeman's job is a constant series of risks. But with one policeman dead and two in the hospital, that job begins to look like a matter of survival, too. Martha McIntire, Channel 8 News on the Move at Dallas Police Headquarters.
but it's a task that we can accomplish and we must accomplish because it's a very serious problem in Dallas County, and it's the most serious problem I think that society has today. Even the killings and the burglaries and the robberies that we've had the last few days could possibly be drug-related that we don't know about, in as much as the grand jury found that 50% was drug-related.
For this reason, in times past, this has been the way to attack the incumbent district attorney. This has been the way to do a pretty good job on him in Tarrant County. And I'm afraid that somebody might misunderstand it, and I want the record to be clear.
This is home plate, Arlington Stadium, on the opening day of the 1972 Major League Baseball schedule. But instead of Joe Levito leading off for the Rangers against the Kansas City Royals, you have standing here a sportscaster who last stood at the plate 17 years ago in Pony League Baseball. We have no balls and one strike so far, and 35,000 empty seats in this facility. And the man undoubtedly who must be most disappointed at the consternation and frustration of this prolonged strike is Arlington Mayor Tom Vandergrift, the man responsible for bringing the Rangers to this site.
Well, I can't help, of course, but to stand here and think of what might have been and to wish that all these 35,000 seats were filled, as I think they could have been. It is a great disappointment. We've waited a long time, all of us, here in this Dallas-Fort Worth region of ours, and it's ironic that of all years this should happen. It would come on our year, so to speak. But at least we can be optimistic and hope that the settlement will come soon and all these people can come and join us.
It's a cliche, of course, but the people who eventually bear the brunt of all of this are the people who will someday sit in these seats, the fans of the Rangers. And those Rangers who are working out on their own here in the Dallas-Fort Worth-Arlington area go to great lengths to express the fact that they don't want the fans to desert them now.
Well, certainly we don't feel that that we're trying to hurt the fans or deprive the fans. Certainly in this area, we certainly don't want to deprive the fans of baseball. The only thing that we're concerned about in this thing is protecting ourselves for the future. We have a good pension plan, granted, but we want to keep that plan good, and by keeping it good, we have to update our plan as we go along, and this is the problem that we're having right now.
I think Bob Short is probably the best one of the group. He talked to us last Saturday there in Pompano, and he said that he would sign and has signed some kind of a statement saying that he wants the thing to go into arbitration, and which I think is the best way to get it over with now. There's no way that they're going to give anything, and I think that the owners don't realize. They say, well, we don't want anybody outside of baseball. Well, it happens in anything, I think, where you have a management labor thing here, that the arbitration is the only way out, and I think it is in this problem.
Well, we're just trying to stay with the cost of living. I'm sure the public's aware of that, even though they think the ball players are in the wrong. I'm sure in their day in and day out work job, they're trying to save the cost of living, but a lot of times they don't do it. And therefore it's costing them more to live. Your dollar's not buying as much. And we, as a ball club, and I'm speaking for the other ball clubs too, we're just trying to save the cost of living.
Well, I've been up about 4.5 years, and like we were talking earlier, this is the main thing I hope to get out of baseball is a pension. I've been up here, like I say, 4 years, not even making 20 grand. I have a college education, and there's no way you can get ahead in this game, and I just hope to have a decent pension when I'm 50 years old to draw from.
While the players work out on their own, the stands remain empty of fans, the only activity here on opening day being that of the workers, who continue last-minute preparations for the stadium when and if the strike does come to a conclusion. In New York this afternoon, meanwhile, Marvin Miller, representing the players, and John Guerin, who represents the owners, held another inconclusive meeting. No progress in strike negotiations. They will meet again once again tomorrow. So the strike is here. There is no baseball. We'll have more sports after this message.
Department be temporarily enjoined from enforcing the residency requirement. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna at the Federal Courthouse.
I'm prepared now to get the information to the agency sometime tomorrow morning, and then subsequent to that release to the agency, and I'm assured that the board of directors and the chairman have a copy in hand. At that point, then I will intend to call a press conference, which is presently scheduled for 11 o'clock.
I certainly enjoyed it, and we'll try to run it at an appropriate time.
It's no question that it'll be a very expensive program, but by the same time, it's a very serious program. And our information leads us to believe that we can get at least an 80% grant from the federal government to help implement this, and the other 20% will have to come from the county and the state and the various cities and possibly the schools.
Dallas County's requirement that poor people must live in Texas 1 year and in the county 6 months before receiving welfare has been temporarily struck down. In a class action suit filed by Dallas Legal Services against the Commissioner's Court and the Welfare Department of Dallas was heard in Sarah T. Hughes' courtroom here in the federal courthouse. The Supreme Court has already ruled against several states with a residency requirement. Judge Hughes declared that since the Supreme Court decisions, the law was so clear that she was not even going to require a 3-judge court, which is a usual process to declare a law unconstitutional.
Do you anticipate that this report will have any earth-shaking results or effects on the city or county or the anti-poverty agency?
I don't know who will be earth-shaken by it. I'm just taking the position that in order to bring about a delivery system within the city and county of Dallas, that some rather dramatic changes are necessary. Whether those are earth-shaking or not depends on how you interpret them, I suppose.
The people of Florida voiced quite a bit of concern over the busing issue in the primary, and in the fact that they gave a majority to Mr. Wallace, and also voted against busing in the referendum. Has this caused you any concern?
Well, it's very obvious the public had some very serious questions about busing per se. I think it must be remembered, though, that on the same ballot, and by a slightly larger vote, they reaffirmed their support of desegregation of education.
Well, based on the problems that we've had in the United States on this, then you don't have any problems in Vancouver, then, do you?
We do not have any busing problems. I've been advised by the American superintendents to use the public transportation as long as we can. So far, we've been successful in avoiding it.
What is the superintendent's conference designed to accomplish here?
The superintendents of the 50 largest cities in the United States meet twice a year, semi-annually, in which they discuss their common problems, to possible solutions, and to have a chance to exchange ideas. Explosions were 47-year-old Velma L. Wilson, her 21-year-old daughter, Mrs. Judy Morby, 19-year-old James Spikes, 18-year-old Paul Perkle, 35-year-old Burtis Burrell, 33-year-old Bobby Jackson, 39-year-old Flirty Maddox, and 28-year-old Cecilia Oliver. This is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Do you really want to continue doing it?
I like the work. I really do.
Is your wife afraid for you?
Sure. I guess she's just as concerned as most other police officers' wives are, but she realizes that I wouldn't be satisfied doing anything else, and she just accepts